Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. First, apologize for missing last week. A little miscommunication, and I never even sent you the message out to apologize, so I'm apologizing here. So, sorry for missing the podcast last week, but today we have a conversation with Noobifier. Usually we have just random people from the community talking about a specific subject. It's been quite difficult lately to talk about any specific subjects that we haven't talked about twice already on the podcast. So I thought it would be a great opportunity to bring my friends on and have conversations with them. If you didn't know them, you get to know them. Maybe you get to know them a little bit deeper. I think we've had some really deep conversations with like Noodle, with Zero State, with Burks, with Auralia. So it gets kind of fun to just talk about whatever and not just Star Citizen sometimes. So I've been kind of taking this opportunity with the podcast to do that. I hope you guys have been enjoying it. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoy that, or do you want me to just stick to the normal format no matter what? Kind of curious and asking for feedback lately on the channel. But without further ado, we have Noobifier. Actually, before we go into that, you might want to know what this is. We've done this on the podcast before. Today's podcast is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Who else, right? Who else sponsors things? It's always Raid. So, exclamation point Raid in chat if you guys are watching on the stream. You might hear a little noise pop if somebody becomes a warrior. And basically, it'll probably pop during the stream, so if you guys are watching this on YouTube, you may not be a part of this giveaway, but if we hit 45, I'm going to be giving away a Aegis Redeemer. So if you become a warrior, you'll be able to take part in that giveaway, so it's pretty cool. Again, we have Noobifier on, so let's bring him on and say hello. Hello, Noob. Thanks for coming on. It's been too long.
Yeah, like it's. I was just trying to think about when the last time I was on with you, and it was, I think we were doing something like this, but it was over another one of the kind of not salty videos that I did, but it was, I think it was, is the first player experience or is the new player experience good? And we talked about that for a bit on stream, but that was like, I think that was like a year and a half or 2 years ago. I think it was pre-COVID for sure. And then, yeah, I went overseas and then came back and have since retired. So like all, like
everything's changed.
If you're going to go full circle on anything, you know, that was, again, you look back, it's literally 2 years of COVID. Kind of crap.
So I would just like maybe intro you a little bit if people don't know our history. I'm sure most people know who you are, but our history, maybe they don't, is we used to run a content creator group, myself, Saurus, Noob, Board, and Detox, Super Mac Brothers, others.
There were others like Red Lear, and I think Crucian was there, yeah.
Crucian, yeah, there's tons of names, right? And you know, that all kind of like we all went our separate ways and started doing our own things. But there was a podcast called the Redacted Podcast, and Noob was a big part of that. So if you guys haven't seen those yet, I think they're still up on YouTube somewhere. And that's like kind of, they're not? Oh, wow.
No, I think he bipped his VODs.
Dang. Hopefully they're unlisted and they'll show up one day. But the that's our history. That's how me and Noob got to know each other. And I thought it'd be a good opportunity, since it's been so long, to kind of have that conversation and have you guys get to know him a bit more if you don't.
I can tell you that was a fun conversation because if you remember correctly, you and Board approached me. I was, well, okay, let's preface all this. We are still nobodies, right? So I'm going to say that I was nobody.
Every content
We're still
creator.
Nobody. We're still nobody.
We're still nobody.
I think I had like 100 or 1,000 subscribers, and I'd done one video that got picked up by CIG that on that weekly, you know, shout out. And you and Board contacted me. I think you were driving in your car, and we were on Discord, and we were just talking about what would be happening in the future. It was super chill and super cool. And again, it just went from there. It was very, very helpful actually for the growth of my channel. Like I had appetite to grow, but I had a gun, but I didn't have anywhere to point it.
Yeah.
Right. So Redacted gave me a target to shoot at and motivate. Very, very motivated. So that was actually a big help to me, by the way, in case you didn't know.
There's a, like, not to toot our own horn or my own horn, there's a lot of people, though, that, like, they were just coming up, and you would have been successful anyway. And these other people would have been successful anyway. But I remember, like, we wanted to really make something special back then, and we knew that collaboration was the key. But the game and everybody's like, dude, you and I live on the same time zone, so but I also start before most people's I do my day before your normal day would start, right? So so I'm not even on your schedule. I'm on some other schedule. And that was like probably the biggest problem with all of that is we were worldwide and everybody obviously has to do their own content, and then when you join a group, it's your own content plus others. And it was just too difficult when people, like, again, like you said, we're all nobodies still. We all have, for the most part, our day jobs. And it's just the balancing of that, I think, is really what hurt everybody as that group. But then more recently, I started reaching out to people, and this started with Captain Burks, just to give him the credit for sure, is about like joining Jumptown together. And we were just getting groups of other streamers to play together, and it just felt like the beginnings of those days when we were like reaching out to people and like, hey, do you want to be a part of this thing? We think it could be something special. And like, well, it just gave me those vibes again, you know?
You said it too, though. As soon as meshing comes on, you know, as soon as we can have that ability to just say, meet me at somewhere at 10 o'clock.
Yep.
And you don't have to worry about handshakes and joining parties and making sure that you're on this, you know what I mean? Like it's just that level. Let's say we go on every Tuesday at whatever, and we always meet at Port Olisar. You know, it's just, I think that we all were hoping the game would come out in 2016, like everyone. But more specifically, I know that when you started streaming, your idea wasn't to be here in 2022, right? So,
I mean, it was to be here still doing stuff like this, but to
more polished,
to not be talking about the lack of polish of the game or what could be better. It was, you know, obviously we all had different ideas. What was your dream scenario? Where did you see yourself when you started? Like, what were your goals, in a way? Like, not necessarily your goals, like number goals.
No, I understand.
But like what kind of content you wanted to make? Because I don't, for me personally, the kind of content that I make now is not the kind of content that I would like to make, right? I wonder if you're the same.
No roadmap. I didn't. So I started out, this is going to sound really negative. I think Trip, I ended up researching it, but Trip made a video on how to hook up a HOTAS, like a Thrustmaster HOTAS.
Yes.
Shout out to Thrustmaster. And it was super detailed, but it had no script, and he was just going over it. And again, not like we've all evolved. We're all great content creators now, or better, I should say. So it's not shade at all.
No.
He was I think he turned out to be the nexus or nucleus of the whole no bullshit idea. Because I'm like, I literally had to scrub through the video to find the one thing I wanted to know. And that was that you don't want to use the software that comes with it. I forget, Target. It's like all of that. We watched an hour-long video, and at the end of it, he goes, "Oh yeah, don't bother with Target because it doesn't work with Star Citizen." I'm like, "Fuck my life." So what I did is at that time, I said, "Okay, I'm going to make content the way I want to watch it." And again, no shade to that, but I didn't want to watch an hour. I don't have an hour. Right.
Yeah.
So then that became that. And then, of course, we started to get stuff like patch notes and this kind of stuff. And everyone knows the golden rule of 10 minutes for YouTube. And if you don't, wherever you've been living, it's a thing, right? You make your video long and it gets more money, it gets more traction. It's super beneficial. And I decided at that time that I don't care because I'm going to go and do the thing that I want to watch, which is a 2-minute video, right?
Yep.
So it became that, and it became kind of like part of the channel's identity. And I'm painted into a corner now. I can still make 7-minute videos, but they have to be fast, concise, right?
Yeah.
And that's easy because it's become easier for me to script like that because I'm not scripting in a persona. I'm scripting the way I think. So what you see with my content isn't me trying to be Noobifier. It's me being Brian Mundy. It's me being me making video under a pen name.
I can't like not agree with that, but I relate to that more. Like, I don't know if you get these type of comments on your YouTube channel too, but they always assume that you're this persona or you're trying to fit it. They put you in this box, and it's like, dude, I'm just me. Why can't I just be me?
Well, I'm human, right? Like things piss me off. I can be pissed off about the game. Critical is a better. Let's use the right term, right? Confused. I go through all 17,000 emotions with Star Citizen on a daily basis, right? Sometimes you just have to switch off and go do something else.
Yeah.
But no, it's it's fine, but I also have time to explain that to people. I know you do the same thing. Like in chat, the guy's like, well, what did you mean by this? And I'll take the time, because what's the point of making content if you're not going to engage with your own community, right? Exactly. It doesn't matter. Obviously, there's going to be a limit. Let's say I get like 500,000 people. I won't be able to answer every single one. But right now, the throughputs are around 5,000. Right? It's weird. The community does this. Like people subscribe and unsubscribe. They get pissed off with Star Citizen and they unsubscribe from me, and that's their right. Like I don't care. It doesn't make any sense to me. Or I get those people that will subscribe each time that there's a giveaway. They know there's one every month, but they'll unsubscribe every single month.
Oh my goodness.
So it's again, we're talking about like the top 0.001% of confusion, but it is kind of funny, right? It doesn't make any sense to me. And but again, I would rather have 10,000 people watch me than 100,000 people subscribed, if that makes sense. Like
100%.
The subscriber number is good if you're trying to reach a company and say, I propose that I want to do this, and look at my background. What they should ask is what is my throughput, not necessarily how many subs I have.
100%. And they look at that stuff now more. They're a little bit more aware of how things work. But I think even the algorithm is will look at your subscriber count and utilize that a little bit, not as much as the other metrics, to decide whether or not they're going to push your video out to somebody. Like if you go on a brand new, never used YouTube account and search Star Citizen, it's pretty much only you, Board, and Morph. Yeah,
for sure. It better be Morph.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's more first, Board, and then you. Like because subscriber count counts in those aspects for whatever reason. I think.
Yeah,
more than anything.
And Tactical Advance hasn't made videos in a long time, but he still shows up. Yep. He has a presence because he's got so much width, and it's the same thing with all of them. Like basically everyone. If you have done it in the past, you should still pop up. But there is a definite relevancy and concurrentness that is calculated in that algorithm for sure.
Yeah, and because my subscriber count is small, it takes me. You would have to scroll a while to find me if you were just searching Star Citizen. But I get out there. I'm pretty happy with the way things are. And to go back on what you were saying before was no shade on you or Board. But you two were the catalyst for my week in review video, because I personally don't like watching your videos for news. And again, no shade.
They're too short.
Because they're too short. Exactly. Yeah. I want more. I want to hear everything that I possibly can. And I'm struggling now, actually, with the monthly reports are getting really long, and there's a lot of what I would consider fluff. And I'm worried that for me, like you were the catalyst for those things, because I didn't want to skip too much, because I was worried, what if it was important for somebody else?
There definitely is context that I'm skipping. I'll 100% agree with you.
But and now I'm starting
I'll skip
to
something
also.
That's coming out in 2 years from now. Right? Yeah. I'll skip something. If they mention that they're doing moist eyeballs, I'll mention it. That's no problem, because that's funny. Yeah. But if they're talking about something that is going to be useful in 2 years from now, no offense to them, I don't give a shit what's coming out in 2 years from now, because it'll change 15 times between now and then. It's worthless to me to say anything about it, in my opinion. And that's why you're making content, because you may value that as an indicator of something else, where I just completely fuck it off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. And yeah, again, like you were kind of the catalyst for me, and Board was too, is like I liked both your styles, but they weren't quite what I would do. And I was like, oh, well, I think I'm kind of a mix of you too. And that's sort of what's happened. And man, it's been fun. I enjoyed it. I kind of went out originally to start forcing myself to follow the game more closely, because that's what was happening when I did the Redacted podcast. In case people don't know, usually minutes before the Redacted podcast or an hour or so, I was researching everything for the show, and that was kind of my job, and Soros ran the stream part of it. So like we each had our jobs, and that was mine. And once that podcast stopped, I stopped doing that, and I was like, man, I feel uninformed now. So I kind of forced myself to stay informed that way, and it's been a fun ride. I've enjoyed it. So I have watched one of your videos recently on stream, and I thought maybe we would go into this a little bit, because we were just talking about it before the stream. Somebody said, somebody said in my chat while I was playing today, don't you think it'll be better when Server Mushing comes out to stream Star Citizen? I think they came from the standpoint...
It's going to not be better.
No, I think
it's going to be a hairball. You're going to have to deal with so many people. There's going to be gangs going around just killing everything. So the joke was I wasn't even here for that part. But no, I 100%, that is not. So this is why people are freaking out over the slider.
Because they know it's coming.
They want to be left alone.
Yeah,
right?
So to give some context on this, Noob made a video about a legendary, I think, like meme at this point, because I don't even think it's a real thing, is the PvP slider in Star Citizen. So years and years and years ago, CR on like a 10 for the chairman goes, hey.
Very, very random.
Very randomly goes, if you guys don't want a PvP, you can just turn a slider down and you won't be matched with other people that PvP, whatever that means, right? And it was just like this weird thing. Nobody really understood what it meant, and it became like this whole conversation topic. Then they completely backtrack it and said it's not there. And then they mention it again later on and say something like, well, if you don't PvP, you won't be given PvP missions. So the game is going to deliver you like almost like a YouTube algorithm. If you watch a Daily Dose of Internet video, you're just going to start getting a bunch of them, right? That's
like
kind of
matchmaking.
Yeah, they're going to matchmake with the type of content that you enjoy. But if you start PvPing, then they'll start giving you PvP missions, and they called that the PvP slider. They said it again. So it's still out there in a way. And more recently, there's been a lot of Spectrum threads about PvP sliders, and it's because people are getting griefed, they're getting frustrated, all that stuff. Noob,
there's
you
one other
did a video. Go ahead. You got
There's
the floor
one other
on
thing, though. Sorry, I'm going to let you... Sorry, I'm not trying to like be a complete...
No, you just
dick,
can't see me, so people don't know it's hard.
There was another thing that effectively they were talking about. If you're a griefer, they're going to put you in your own griefer server with all the other griefers. And as soon as that idea came out, people were like, we're going to have multiple shards, like different servers. So why don't we go the other way and have a server where the PvP is disabled? Like we have one that has griefers, one that's like, I don't know, au naturel, and then another one that's whatever. And again, this is all what we're referring to is like 2015, 2014 stuff. Like it's dead. It was in the original Kickstarter as having private servers that we could host, just like an old LAN party, which I don't even think is possible anymore because of the size of the game. And then there was another one. It's a stretch goal where you have custom professional mod tools. I think it was like the 4 million stretch goals, like very, very early on. And the problem is that people paid. This is the problem. People paid money and joined because that. And there's no way that they can prove that they joined for something else. So if they don't deliver that, are they going to sue them? No, I don't think that they can sue anybody. But the problem is, it's that noise that Jake was talking about. We're always referring to something that we think is important that isn't relevant anymore, I guess.
Well, because the problem is it might be relevant to us, which is, unfortunately, in my opinion at least, is still relevant because of and it's the problem. It's CIG's problem in a way, because they're so vague when they explain the game in many ways that it still creates the scenario where you create the game yourself in your own mind. And when you finally see the pieces starting to come together and they don't come together in the way that you expected them to, it causes problems for people. That happens to me, and I see that happen to other people all the time. And I think that's where that stuff happens. And I think that one falls on CIG's lack of communication of what their direction is. But it's kind of hard to know your exact direction until you start implementing things in game anyway. That's just how game development works. We've learned that through watching their videos, and it can be frustrating, but it is what it is.
But you also have to consider the fresh perspective, right? Like, because we are dealing with it all the time, and that's where that video, new user experience, like you show up and what you see first, what does that tell you? If I didn't know anything about the game, what does that show me? And it's the same thing. Level Cap was on streaming for 3 hours, and I was hanging out in the chat, and it's really cool. This is like a fan. Never Meet Your Heroes or something like that.
Yeah.
But I used to play Battlefield and I would watch his videos. And then I showed up in his in his stream, and he goes, "Hey, Noobifier, good to see you." So it's like, it's cool. It was just, again, he's just like everyone else. He's just a guy. I get it, but it was just kind of cool. Anyways, so the reason I liked being there is he plays infrequently. So when he does play, it's that fresh perspective. And he said this, the best thing. I remember this shitty map, like this navigation system, is still busted. Yep. And he goes, it's 10 years, and it's like he thinks that that's core as a first-person shooter, right? We know it is, but I'm just saying that for him, he values it even more because of his background in first-person shooter. The mini-map is critical, right? So he's like, how can I go and do something? How can I achieve anything if I can't get there, or if I don't know where that there is? And I explained to him, I said, it's all building blocks. And I said, this isn't like the PC line. This isn't the party line, but the reason they're still polishing all of it, and it's all interwoven like a nest, right? You can't just make one thing good without it being everywhere. It's just like damage is associated with, all of the procedural damage and all the levels, and then the components, and then the subsystems, and all of that stuff is tied into like everything. So you can't, it sounds good on paper. Why is this still shit? And it's just, it hurts me a little bit because I know the potential of the game, right? It is going to be evolutionary. He wouldn't be streaming it if he didn't know, right? Because the irony is, his stream, I think he had like 105 people watching. He has 2.2 million subscribers, right? When he streams Battlefield, people show up. So it's like the opposite. If you stream Battlefield, 0 people show up. Actually, you have a really good community. They'll still show up. They'll watch you,
No,
so
they won't. It's definitely a lower percentage, that's for sure.
Right. And that's the reality of being a content creator, right? You pigeonhole yourself into a thing, and that's not the community's fault. That's your fault because you started out not as a variety streamer. But you do a pretty good job of balancing all kinds of stuff, and people understand,
I try, but the thing with that and like the new player experience and everything is, it's crazy because we had that talk like a year and a half ago, and I feel like quality of life has been their direction in a lot of ways, but it's still not in a place where a new player can come in and feel comfortable and get
It still seems like a scam.
Maybe.
That's all I'm going to say. It just seems like a scam, right?
I don't think Star Citizen seems like a scam, believe it or not, like coming from me. It just, the scam is, if there's any scam, it's the here, take my money for Star Citizen, but I'm going to spend it on Squadron 42. That's the scam.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's just
that's what makes Star Citizen look like its progress is so slow. Is that all the money is going to something else you don't see?
It has to release good. I agree with them 100%. It'll release when it's ready. That the way it's phrased, not a good perception. The idea behind it is make it good and make it right is the only reason why I think that's remotely acceptable. Again, we don't have to go into this whole roadmap thing again because that's been
I'm
killed.
Done with that.
Fucking killed. I remember the podcast used to do that. We used to just like basically circle jerk each other off of anything that was salty, and it was really, really. I don't think it was what people wanted to see from us, right? So, anyways, and we all know exactly what's going on with this. It's already been beaten to death. Yeah. But I guess what I was trying to get at is it needs to launch correct. And I think if I was reverse engineering this, if it releases correct, they're going to make that $500 million just on Squadron 42, right? And it's a weird game because they didn't put the money in. And the only thing I hope, the thing that'll prove that it's not a scam, is that when that $500 million comes in, that development goes through the roof. That building that has 1,000 seats in it has 1,000 butts in it. That's what I want to see. You know what I mean? We've been patient is a good way of, and understanding and supportive and all these other fantastic buzzwords, but it has to come with something at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And to think and to call some of us impatient at this point is nuts, man. Like, It's absolutely nuts. Like, the amount of time we've waited is insane. Like, yeah, exactly. It's been forever. So
It says 2 years since 2014.
yeah. And like, at this point, I don't feel like the game is 2 years away. I feel like Star Citizen is quite a ways away.
We could talk about the actual release date too, if you want. Someone reached out to me and put this gigantic paragraph email. And again, I read this stuff, and they said, and we can actually discuss this because I think it's actually interesting. They said that the game released in 3.0 and that it will be polished perpetual from this day on. And what I said back to them was the day that the game no longer will get a reset is the day that it's live. Yeah. That's the actual stadia of when it's live. So we kind of agreed to disagree. I agree that the game released, right? And it will be iterated upon. The 3.0 was the last big flip over.
Releases with wipes. And games do wipes, and wipes can be fun. Wipes can work for games that are not ready yet. Look at Escape from Tarkov. I think that's right. That's good. And honestly, the most recent wipe I've enjoyed as well. And Star Citizen.
It was just an interesting perspective because from a legal perspective, they're saying, like, if Chris Roberts was ever challenged, he could just say, no, 3.0 was released. Like, I delivered. And he even said it once in his thing, like, if you were to take all of the mechanics that have been made so far in this game that are released, not even the stuff that's planned, that's more than a normal AAA game. That's more than a $50 game.
Absolutely.
And I kind of agree. But I also think that if he believes that in his brain, that he needs to go see a doctor because that's not what was pitched, right? And again, this sounds like me being an asshole, an entitled asshole, but it's not an asshole to hold someone accountable for what they said they would do, especially
and
if you give them $500 million, worth of support.
Sure. And like you backed at a certain time where what you paid for is very different than what you're getting now. And there's good things about that, and there's clearly bad things about that because the procedural planets and all the cool things that they've put in game have definitely caused the need for all this tech to be able to fit people in a server or do things in a different way because we don't want any loading screens, blah, 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 blah. You didn't back for that. I didn't back for that. I backed for the next Freelancer, even though I didn't know what Freelancer was. I basically backed for the next Privateer. And that's very different than what we're getting today. And there's good things and there's bad things about it. But I don't think I have any issue with somebody like yourself not being happy with that. Because you backed at a time, you had expectations that were not set by you, that were set by them. Those expectations were somewhat set by you, but were also set by them, and that's the issue here. Is they set expectations, and there's no denying that goalposts were moved many, many times, and still do move. That's not good.
Yeah, I think it was that excited period of time in the early days when and again, love Ben Lesnick, not saying anything negative, but there was insatiable desire to please. Chris likes to stand and deliver. We're going to achieve this, this, and this. And it's good. It sounds fantastic. Everyone gets all hyped and shit. And it's the same thing, Vertical Slice. The last time they released Vertical Slice, I said in one of the videos, it better be 6 months out or else they're just, they're just really screwing around with people's brains at that point. It's good to show something, but you don't even let's talk about Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk, no one really knew about it until a year it was ready to come out. And then the first time we really saw it was 6 months. And then they released it. They shouldn't have released it. We all know that. But they released it in 6 months window. And that's the normal thing. You don't show something to someone. So I actually think that it was ready to come out in whatever state it was. And then they added a bunch of shit to it. Because it doesn't make sense. Like Xylo 4 years ago said, well, it's like I played all the different, chapters and I played through it and it's a good game. But then you're like, well, what's the delta? Of course he did. I don't think he's definitely not a liar.
People think he lied. And I don't think he lied. I think he played it in some state that the game was in. Yeah.
whatever was there, and it was probably good enough at the time, and then they added a bunch of stuff like planets and all this extra tech, and then they're like, well, we can't, and this makes sense, we can't release a flight model in Squadron 42 if it's not the flight model. We can't release a map in Squadron 42 that isn't the map. If you know what I mean, like all the inventory system and all this extra stuff that's being added to the game, that should be in Squadron 42, and that's why I think it's taking so long. I can't speak on behalf of the developers, but it makes sense to me that they have to be the same. They're different games, but they have to be similar. And anyways,
I think I still play Star Citizen to this day because of the planet tech. But I believe that Star Citizen, it ruined the game. It ruined the development. It didn't ruin the game.
Do you mean Squadron 42 ruined the game, or do you think Squadron...
the planet tech, because the planet tech is the entire reason for reworking Squadron 42. Yeah. It's super obvious, right? We want to do it with these cool planets. We want these cool things.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda, right?
Yep.
Add a cutscene and launch the game. Who cares?
Exactly.
But then at the same time...
Like, dude, do you care if there's a loading screen? I don't care if there's a loading screen. If the game is good, loading screen me all day, daddy. I don't care. I just want to play good games. And I thought these guys, like, their idea was good. And then they just lost it. But hey, remember that whole circle jerking negativity thing that we said people don't want to listen to? We're doing it right now.
Sorry, guy.
I don't care. I mean, it is what it is. The conversation goes where it goes. But it just popped in my head that I was like, hey, we're doing that thing that people that may not like.
We could definitely be more positive.
Well, here's the thing.
Talk about retirement if you want. Retirement is positive.
We could, but I do want to talk about the planets a little bit, though.
Okay.
Yes, they may have that negative side, but is there any other reason to stick around at this point at the stage of the game other than the way those look? And that's like the driving force for a lot of people's interest in the game. And for me, it still keeps me around. We know the flight model isn't where it needs to be. The ships aren't where they need to be. Like, most of the things aren't where they need to be. But the planets, man, that keeps people coming back. They're amazing.
Yeah, so, and not to, but even that's 100% a thing, because even like Jorn on Twitch or Twitter was like, see that? We got rivers, and I'm like, rivers? But the more I think about it, I mean, I would love to see rivers and, right? Not just rivers. So I understand that it's a little piece of a larger idea. Rivers are a place to go. Rivers are a place that you can go do stuff. And I understand the perspective from there. Trust me, when 317 launches to P2, the first thing I'm doing is flying to the river to go check it out. That's a no-brainer, right? And everyone will be there. It'll be this big PvP nightmare because everyone's going to get their ass shot off trying to look at the rivers, right? So, or bombed, even better. Some guy with an A2 is just going to come in and nuke it from orbit. But such is the nature of the community. But yeah, see, fishing, and then people are like, well, fishing, and then Chris is going to say, yeah, fishing is going to be good. Fishing 0 is going to come out in 318,
if fishing is not a thing, I'm going to be pissed. Like, I don't care. I don't care about the feature creep. Just don't do it with the laser. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
If you fish with the laser,
the magic
I'm out.
Beam. Yeah,
I'm
the
out.
gravity fish.
Yeah. Just don't do it with the laser. And then I'm okay.
Can you imagine you pull the fish out and then you hit it with a healing gun and it turns the fish into healing goop, and then you can point the healing goop at someone and make them better?
What if you cooked the fish, ate a piece of it, and then used the healing gun to bring it back to life, and then cook it again, and you have never-ending food?
Endless possibilities. We've just set the game back another 10 years.
Yes. Amazing.
10
Absolutely
10
amazing.
years confirmed. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the whole idea of the PvP slider this much. Okay.
I don't mind talking about it a lot.
Okay. So good. Well, let's see where this goes. It's not negative. It's positive. Yeah. So everyone's asking for a thing in an incomplete game. And that's the takeaway of that entire conversation, is that Tony Z has planned all kinds of systems that will automatically counteract the idea, the cost to killing someone when it's the wrong time to kill someone, if it's not self-defense, if it's just griefing, ganking, PK. Mm-hmm. If you're just killing a guy who's not doing anything, then that's the problem. That's when extra security is going to come in, and all the other systems. The subsumption is supposed to be the check. So we're trying to band-aid a game with a PvP slider idea. And I think that's the crux of it.
Sure, absolutely. I also think it goes back to what I said earlier, is people, when they play the game, the only thing that they can really do right now is try to envision what the experience may be when it's more complete. And when they see the current experience, like, all right, I went mining and I got killed by somebody. I was hanging out at Port Olisar and I just got blown up for no reason. This is so frustrating. They're looking at their current experience, same exact concept, right? Is they're looking at the incomplete game and comparing their experience to that as that's the way it might be in the complete game. And I do that a little bit too. And the real thing that I take away from the PvP slider is we need a place where it could be one system, it can be a collection of a couple, but we need that like haven for players who just want to chill, where it's not very high sec, where it's
kill. Someone shoots you, they get killed, insta kill.
I think if your weapons are powered on, you are warned, right? Like that kind of scenario where it should be if you lock onto somebody with weapons hot, you are in trouble.
You get
like
5 warning shots. Security shows up, warning shots, all kinds of stuff. There should be no ambiguity whatsoever that you're doing something that's about to cost you your life.
Yes, and maybe if you get a group of like 20 of you, you surround a guy, you all shoot your 5 warning shots, maybe you get to kill them. You know, it has to be like this insanely organized, coordinated thing, whatever, right? It could theoretically be possible, but it really shouldn't be.
But then the cops are after you, just like GTA 5.
Sure.
We've all played that. We've all taken that, just blow something up and see what happens.
Yeah, like I feel the game needs that the more that you see these comments. So like that's what I took away from your videos.
I think that's always been the plan. It's just we don't have it, and people are not thinking deep enough.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the other side of that needs to be is without risk, there should be very little reward. So you should be able to experience the Star Citizen experience. You should be able to see a procedural planet. You should be able to mine. You should be able to cargo haul. You should be able to do missions. But the rewards in those areas and the skill level of those NPCs, all that stuff should be quite low, and the game should entice you to come out of that bubble at some point. But if you just want to RP with your friends, if you just want to get together with your 890 jump club like Joe Rune that you mentioned before, and you don't want people slamming into your ship and destroying and like breaking up that whatever you find to be fun, you need to have a place to be able to do those things. And I think that's what people get frustrated now, is the same place that you PvP is the same place that you do the non-PvP, and people are starting to get frustrated with that.
They chose Stanton as the first system, right?
Yeah, and that's the problem.
It's okay, so we can argue that with great responsibility, blah blah blah. So you have this thing. The Stanton is is quite lawless, actually.
Yep.
And it is brutal, and players are brutal. So it's a brutal game, and that's what people see. If they had made Terra first, and it was like locked down that guns didn't even work, I would argue that people would be even more pissed off. Right?
100%.
Because then you're not getting what, Chris could just say, well, go play an Arena Commander if you want to do PvP. But then you're basically having that PvP PvE server again, and then they launch Pyro, and people just get raped all over the place, like just shot up, all kinds of stuff. People are like, whoa, this isn't what I wanted. All I want to do is see Pyro, and then people are like, get good. So I actually think that it was, as detrimental as it is, I think having Stanton first was the right idea and still is. I think that Pyro should be next? We could argue that. It might be interesting if they had gone the other way and said, okay, we're going to give you a system that's fully lawful, like fully secure, and that way you can choose that as your starting point, and there's the wormhole into Stanton, right? Sure. And I get it. Pyro is super cool, and it's needed for Squadron 42, which makes total sense. And then again, it's coulda, woulda, shoulda, right? Like, who am I? I'm not a developer. I don't know how much money or time it takes to flesh out a system. I'm assuming it's 10 years.
We could argue that a little bit. I think Pyro is the absolute perfect next step from a not a Squadron 42 side. So look at it this way: is you do have the sort of lawless Stanton system, but when they start. This is something I'm starting to notice is obviously since they've sold ships way longer than they expected, way longer than we expected, the ship progression tree does not work, right? The player is not progressing through the game with ships because they can literally swipe their credit card and be at the end game. That's just how it is. It is what it is. Can't do anything about it. So what CIG seems to be trying to do is inject this reputation system into the game to make up for that lack of progression, right? And the next thing that they're doing specifically for that is maintaining your reputation amongst people like the Ninetales or people like Xenothreat, things like that, right? So
Cultivate.
Exactly. And what ends up happening is let's say a player is PvPing, let's say a player is PKing in particular, let's say they PK somebody at Port Olisar. Well, guess what? They're going to lose, excuse me, they're going to lose reputation with Crusader security, which means when you go into that area, no matter what, they will constantly shoot at you, whether you have a crime stat or not. And maybe you'll start gaining reputation with somebody in the Pyro system. So if you want to interact with the game in any way, well, it's going to be a lot easier for those players to do it in Pyro, and it's going to be a lot easier for... So they're already creating that separation, and in a logical and sensical way. Through the reputation system. So for me, I think that Pyro does make a ton of sense. But at the same coin, if they went the Terra route, that would also make sense for the same reason.
If they went Terra, they would make more money. And I know that sounds like stupid to tie the game development to more money, but if they did that, let's reverse that. More people would be playing, because although I like the idea of this brutal PvP because it's risk reward.
Most
I know,
people don't.
Again, equally or more people literally just want to go explore with their prospector, hit some rocks, and not be screwed over by Dark Law, who comes over just, shoots once and then waits for a reply and then just blows you up. And again, love to Dark Law or whatever. It's just a name that popped in. I know that there's lots of people that just go gank people for no reason. And they do it because they can, because the game hasn't given them a reason not to. Yep. And everyone should be able to enjoy the game they want to. I'm not saying it's what I would choose to do, but I'm just saying that obviously the prison system is insufficient to stop people from doing it. Right?
Absolutely.
Anyways.
Yeah, so there needs to be, with prison, more to the game than that. Like if you jump into Pyro or you jump from Pyro to Crusader, obviously there should be some bells and alerts that go off if you don't have a good reputation there, right? Your reputation should definitely precede you. That's been a thing, and this isn't something that they're injecting like it's a new idea. I mean, this is something they've talked about since the death of Spaceman. It's literally in that post. If you die, your reputation will somewhat get passed down to your next of kin, right? It's always been a thing. It's just now we're learning more about how they're implementing it into the game and how we're actually going to use it. And it's really, really exciting. And that's just something I've been thinking about Pyro and all these people that enjoy that type of gameplay. I wonder what's going to happen, though. Is Stanton going to be too difficult for them to hang out in and interact with? Probably not. But are they going to get what they want out of Pyro? I don't know. It really comes down to how are they going to entice the majority of the player base to come into those risk versus reward, those low sec areas.
I'm going to say this. You're right. It's going to all be. It's just going to be up to balance. And like Tony Z has the idea of what he's trying to build is absolutely mental. It is a simulated everything. If that's the only way I can it's simulated real life. So I like the idea of it. I think idea is the idea that you don't have to have a GM per se. The way that, let's say, another thing would be like there's an event and it comes out and it does too much, and then some GM comes in and screws with everything to balance it, to make it work the way it's intended. That's the conventional way. What they're trying to do is have the dynamic way where it's all automated. They can still, I know they still will be able to go in, but instead of saying we're going to change the value of this, they're going to go in and say this commodity just got a big dump of extra commodity, and that'll automatically drop the level. So as much as we're going to be playing the game, I think that the GMs are going to be playing the back end to make the game work properly. But I do like the idea, like if more, let's say Test Squadron comes in and gets craziness, like they just go bananas with, they occupy a system that progressively the system takes over, right? And it's cause and effect. Now there's too much of something happening. So now more something happens to counter it. So it's not like the Xylo is going to come in with a snake stick and just whack it on Snake Day. It's going to be that, oh, now it's becoming not effective, or it's not being economical to be there anymore, or we're not getting what we wanted out of this system. We need to move on. Or maybe more Van Duel will show up, right? Like, it's just, the idea is so good. And it is part of the reason. So IFCS is what got me interested in it to begin with. The fact that you lose something on your ship, and it's not that the ship behaves differently, the ship flies differently because, right? Anyways, yes, Test Squadron was just that's just showing how old I am. Me referring to Test Squadron as the...
dude, they're relevant as hell. Yeah. They're on the top of every leaderboard for every event.
Correct. So, Smoke, Test Squadron, whatever.
So, but I want to...
it's good. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to shift a little bit, because I think we kind of got to our points there, is you're retired now. What's that like?
Yes. So a lot of people
having
send me
all the time in the world, like, for somebody who's as actively hardworking as I know you are.
So the problem being retired is, unlike when I'm at work where I take a weekend off, I don't. It's almost worse.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I'm not saying worse bad, because I am, quote unquote, living the dream. So obviously I told my wife I've had enough of military. And actually, it's funny. You can summarize your entire career. So I did 30 years, and I thought that 30 was a good number to say, pass the torch. But the leaving work, you have to split between what you need to do, which is work, and your content.
Yeah.
My intention was to double down on content and grow and make up the delta, because retired, you do obviously make less money because you're on pension.
Sure.
But what I was not expecting is, I don't know if you've noticed it, but the community seems to have gotten into this state where they're pissed off right and flat.
Yeah.
So I'm trying harder, and I need to remember to look at everyone's stats, not mine, because I'm confused. If I just look at my own, I started a couple of new video series and stuff like that, and they're more personal. Like, community concerns is more like a personal thing for me, because it's just like you were saying, you used podcasts to keep up with development. I use that series as an excuse to go into Reddit and see what people are talking about and comment on it, which is something a lot of people like Noobifier. I'm not subscribed to you for your comments. I'm subscribed to you for the news. I'm like, then don't watch the video. Like, we already talked about this, right? So, anyways, so wake up in the morning and I literally, it's not like forcing myself, but I go downstairs and I have a whiteboard with a triage list of shit that I need to achieve. And it bothers me so much when I miss the mark in a day. And it's funny because it doesn't matter, because it's just like content. It's not work. It's not like my boss is going to be pissed off, but I'm almost harder on me. I'm my boss, right? So, for example, I'm supposed to be doing this big honkin' 22-minute video on the MTS, the 2 sim rigs that are in the basement that you've seen. That video, I have a deadline of Monday for it. I know I'm not going to hit that deadline because I don't have enough B-roll. 22 minutes of video is a lot of B-roll. Like, anyways, tangent confirmed. But then I'm also distracted a bit with a second channel, which I've started up, which is tons of fun. It's more, again, personal. It's race car driving, and it's me learning how to be a streamer. So now I have all the gear and everything that I need. I'm into, Streamlabs and all the overlays and everything. I can stream.
Oh no, you're in Streamlabs?
What? Yeah, Stream Elements, sorry.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So I'm this much of a streamer.
Good.
But,
I was just gonna say, don't go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Stream
you go,
elements.
Stop.
Yeah. Stop.
No, I had
After the podcast,
TV,
we'll talk.
TV Liquid.
Yeah.
So TV Liquid came over, and same with Red Lear. They super helpful. They came over and they were helping out, and they got me set up with everything I need, and they showed me everything on how to do.
Awesome.
And again, so the nice thing about the car channel is I'm getting like 10, 15, 20 people in the chat.
Yeah.
I don't want to get to the point where I stream something that isn't Star Citizen on Twitch, because there's 3,000 people there. As soon as I go live, I'll probably just lose immediately, right? Because it's a waste. And I don't want to start a second Twitch channel for car for the same reason. So the nice thing about YouTube is that it's a good platform to watch videos. It's a horrible platform to watch streams. So that's kind of like a little bit of a bumper.
For sure.
But yeah, Tuesday, Thursdays, streaming nightly, getting used to it. I'm getting good. And when I finally do start to stream on the Twitch channel, or even better, I'll probably go live on YouTube Noobifier proper, because there's 70,000 there. And I'm just curious to see
You should
what
go
the
live
delta.
on both.
Yes. So I'm not even partnered on Twitch. And I know there's like services where you can simulcast, right?
Yes.
You just pay whatever and it does. Good. So
You
again,
have
we
a
should talk
Facebook
about
group
this
too, right? You should be.
Yeah. On Facebook
You should live stream
Live
to
and-
that. Everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
The more the merrier. But the
Exactly.
problem is that has to be Star Citizen, because I'm a Star Citizen content creator. If I started playing Pokemon and all that shit, I might as well just go back to work.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, I mean that's why I made a second channel too. Was there's certain types of videos that I have created that expectation for on this channel. I don't make a lot of videos, but that expectation is there. And then the types of videos which I still not even sure my second channel is what I actually want it to be. That is those, and I don't think you should ever post videos that your people didn't subscribe for. Right? It just doesn't make any sense.
You're being disingenuous.
Exactly. So it's just like, might as well make a second channel then. And there's a lot of live streamers now, Noob, that stream on an alternate channel too. There's nothing wrong with it, in the end, it's fun, just have fun with it.
So what I could do though is I can go one more onion layer down from that.
Yeah.
Because if you measure your success by your fun, by how much you enjoy it, then second channel is 100%. If I was truly committed to being the Noobifier, then what I should do is take all of my newfound spare time, because I'm not going to work, and I should double down, and I should actually make better content, wider content on YouTube. And again,
100%.
This is credit where credit's due. Morphologist has figured out how to weaponize Star Citizen YouTube content. He is upbeat. His voice is good. His content is well spoken, well researched. He says what people want to hear, and he has fantastic B-roll. All of that shit takes weeks, and that's why he'll publish 1 or 2 a week. And he's doing it right though, because he's getting 400,000 views on one video 2 times a month, right? That's where content really evolves. That's when you become successful. And I'm not complaining, or I'm not saying I'm going to start trying to do that, because that's not who I am. But I can take elements of what makes that successful and add that to mine. Better B-roll, more thought. Well, I could work on a script and take a day and reread it and highlight things that may need to be fleshed out a little bit more. But then at the same time, you get into that kind of, and again, this is going to sound like I'm chirping on people, you get into that kind of, like, board gamer and morphologist are truly polar opposites in my opinion. Love both, but they do completely different ideas. But at what point, let's say I would be making a video twice as long, would that get me more views? Likely not, because I'm still the Noobifier and I make short videos. So again, this is that, it's not a struggle. Struggle's not the right word, but it's constant evolution in your brand. And you really have to pick and choose what you want to do and stick to it. Because if I started making super thoughtful videos, maybe that's not what people want me for. Maybe that's, You know what I mean? And they already have a person who does that. So that'll probably just backfire. Anyways,
See,
again, I think you understand exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, except it doesn't make any sense. So
What's that? That I want to make better Star Citizen videos?
No, that you think that like you're letting them put you in this box when that you don't need to be in, or you're putting yourself in this box. Like
I'm thinking about the next evolution in the channel, and I'm trying to go shopping is what I'm saying. Like I'm trying to see what's working. If I can continue to let me double down.
Yeah.
If I can continue to make exactly the videos I like let's say I make a mining guide, no bullshit.
Sure.
Right? If I can get more cinematic videos, I always try to show what I'm talking about, and that takes time. You do too. Everyone does it, right? But I'm not a streamer, so I have the luxury of time. I can go get the content that I need. I can go get the B-roll. But I may be cheap, and I may use old footage from patch 305, right? And then it doesn't jive. I don't know. I think it's not that you misunderstand. I am always trying to push my brand. Excuse me. I'm trying to push my brand, but let's say, for example, would like to be a better content creator. And I can do that now that I have the time. But the point, what I was saying is, you have the car racing channel. That takes time away from what I thought I would be doing a year ago when I thought about retiring, right?
Yep.
Because instead of having this time to work on the next evolution of the channel, I'm actually distracted by trying to push my resources into a second channel, which is fun for me. So it's kind of selfish, but not at the same time.
No, because here's the deal, is if you get so into just the Noobifier channel and making it the best possible, and that's all you do all day, because that is what you would do, your mental health would plummet the way you did that. You just wouldn't enjoy it as much, and then in turn it wouldn't be as good, right? I've gone through those waves with my Twitch stream and my YouTube channel and all that stuff. Is you put so much time to it, it doesn't work out the way you want to, maybe, or whatever, right? And then you just stop enjoying it. You have to have one of the things that I think is the best thing about making content that you enjoy is, it reminds me of this thing that you would do in poker when you were losing. If you were a poker player, this was a suggestion from a millionaire, huge poker player. When he was losing, he was going through a losing streak, he would buy something with his money. The money, because he's done well, he's successful, he has money, but that money started dipping, right? He would go out and he would buy something to remind himself that, like,
why he's doing it.
I'm doing well, I'm successful. Like, I'm just in this, like, crappy situation, right? So I like it. Yeah, so in that case, like, you have that fun thing of content creation where you enjoy it, and then there's the kind of job part of it, right? I hate making thumbnails. I hate it. It's the thing I hate doing more than anything in the world, to the point where I've actually, like, now pay an editor on the second channel to basically, all he does is make thumbnails. He doesn't even do much else other than that. There's not much editing that goes on. It's mainly the thumbnail, and I give him almost the entire thing. I pay myself $20 a month. He gets the entirety of the funds for that channel just making thumbnails, because it doesn't matter. And the thing that I find fun now is paying attention to the algorithm, what works, what doesn't. And that's what I was trying to get at with you is, I think you have to put up the content that your people subscribed for, but you also can evolve into what works. You seem very, and correct me if I'm wrong, but because I'm making an assumption here, is that you seem, success is tied entirely to views. And for me, a lot of the time, success is tied, there's sometimes where views are completely out of your control. Did you make a thumbnail that was clicky enough? There's so many factors, right? So views on YouTube are, sometimes it just doesn't make sense. Like, my worst video gets my most views.
It's a component of success. It's not success. I agree 100%. Yeah. I'd rather reach 10 people and inform them of something that they didn't know. That would be a better payoff for me than hitting 100,000 views. Because 100,000 nothings, just like subscribers, 100,000 nothings is still nothing, right? Yep. You get 10 somethings, that's worth it. But you can do both. You can still reach those 10 people and have 100,000 views. So it's kind of it's kind of ass backwards.
Yep.
Success is multifaceted.
Absolutely.
You can't just say this is successful. I'm successful because I have 1 million subscribers, right? You go to some channels with 1 million subscribers, they've got like 4,000 views, and I'm like, I'm more successful than them, and I
Yes.
only have 70, right?
Yep.
So again, this is the meta of making content. As much as we play video games, content is its own video game. It's a little bit like poker. You have to understand not just the basic rules, but all of the nuanced shit that's going on in the background. And I think that's why I really like it. I'm certainly not burnt out, and I like nothing like that. I'm still having a fantastic time. I'm still excited for Thursday and Friday because I know that that's, my two mainstays. And Tuesday is, community concerns, where I get to go dumpster diving, literally, for a cookie, right? A couple cookies to talk about. And I do think that people get value out of that. I know that there are a lot of people, the regulars, and they watch it, and you can see it in the chat. They say, thanks so much for the video, whatever. And they're not just typing that because they have to. So again, to me, that's content creation.
And what you just said is that's success to me.
Of course it's success.
When they type that
community.
comment and they take the time out to write the comment, and I've noticed this more lately with my channels, is that this is how I've never really felt like I was successful. Lately, I've actually been getting feelings of that, because not only are they saying like more positive things, but they're getting the point of what I was trying to say.
They're hearing what you're saying.
And very often in the early days, I wasn't very good at speaking, and I wasn't very good at not proving my point or conveying my point. And I think I've gotten better at it over time, and people actually understand what I'm saying, and the comments reciprocate that back, and it's like, that is satisfying, and that is success to me. Even though my videos in the last few months are half as popular as they used to be, I'm 10 times happier.
Mine are also, so it's a systemic. It's not isolated to your content.
Yeah.
It is across the board.
100%.
And that's what I was saying earlier is when people are pissed off with what you're covering, they don't only punish the game, they punish everything to do with it. They go cold turkey. And again, people do, if you want to unsubscribe because you're pissed off with the game, go for it. That's really good, because then you won't see constant Star Citizen in your YouTube feed. I get it. I understand. The other side is when you see a video pop up and you don't really care, but you like the person making it, watch the video, mute it, and go have a dump. Like, literally, you can do so much positive for a content creator's
watch
effect,
time.
right? No, it's not even, it's just be a bro, right? If you got value out of our content, I'm saying holistically, everyone, if you get value or have in the past, and you think in the future you're going to want us to be there when you finally give a shit about what we're talking about again, then do it. Just fucking hit the playlist, mute it, and go make dinner. It's so helpful. It truly is.
It is. Yeah, and I don't know. I want to talk a little bit more about your racing channel just a little bit.
Yes.
I knew you were into... Oh, dude, that's sick. Nice. Do you do you dial in all those dials and stuff?
Oh yeah.
That's crazy.
Everything is useful on this, because you can adjust your diff, you can adjust your brake balance, and then specifically for Formula, all these red buttons are just 1, 2, 3, 4. These are your menu buttons to navigate, because it's a console plugin, right? But then there's DRS and overtake, and then the P, the green button on the far.
Is pit?
Push to talk. That's radio.
Ah, okay.
For Discord. No, cool. So pit, we don't have the pit button because it's redundant. We just have it so it's auto pit, because everyone's going to push the button. It doesn't do anything.
That's
so there's
cool,
that.
Dude.
And then there's a couple, like these dials here will let you change your mixtures and stuff like that for games that actually support. And then you can see...
Nice.
1337, because when I'm streaming, I have camera facing the back of the steering wheel, so you can see my hands. And there's also another one that has on the the feet. So when you're streaming, I mean, I can send you a screen capture of what the stream looks like.
You have
it's
a
32
foot
by
cam?
9. Yes. Yeah.
Do you have an
I'll message
OnlyFans
you.
as well for your foot cam?
That's funny. Give me a second. I'll send you a screen grab. You probably, I don't know if you can do anything with it if I send a picture.
No, because
No? Okay.
it's the same window and it would get it. I mean, I could, but it makes it.
Okay. No, it's fine. I'll send it to you anyways. You can see it. So what my stream is set up like.
Okay.
So it's 32 by 9 across the top, so you can see the whole screen. And then the bottom left side is me, but not facing head on from the side. And then you can see wheel cam and foot cam.
Nice.
So the intent is to engage people. Driving isn't just about going fast. It is, but there's so much subtlety. You can do the same corner 5 times, and one time you'll spin out, and you don't understand why that one time you spun out
it's so annoying.
until you see the feet, or you saw what happened to the wheel. Maybe my hand slipped or something, or my shift point was weird. But anyways, so that's that.
Yeah.
I'm super entitled though. When I set up my stream rig, we did the bricks and everything. This is all premeditated before retiring. But instead, even though this sim rig can do both road and flight, the monitor setup that I needed for driving isn't the same, and that's the one thing that you can't just flick quickly. Most people would just take a 60-inch TV and say, "Boom, there's my monitor for flight." But that doesn't necessarily work for road because you need high refresh and stuff like that. Anyways, so any of you guys that have seen it, there's in the next couple days, I'm not going to say Monday, but Tuesday, there's going to be a big overview of MTS, and that's where I stream from, and that's where I fly from. So
I'm showing them on my phone. This is
your
high
camera,
tech.
Your camera is actually taking that really well.
Oh yeah,
What
this
are
is
you
probably
using for a camera?
this is like the best streaming camera, I think, in my opinion.
Is that a Sony?
Yeah.
Nice.
Sony ZV-1. If you're gonna use I think it's the cheapest of all the Sonys, and
The good mirrorless, yeah.
and it has this special thing that I think some of the Sonys might have, but it's more of like a newer one that is meant for like unboxings and things like that. It's called like a product setting, and basically like you bring anything up, it's just really smooth as far as the zoom and all that. So yeah,
That's excellent. So this is kind of what I was trying to do with mine. I went and got a Canon full frame Canon camera, an RP, and that has IAF, so it tracks similar to what you're talking about. Yeah. But it finds an eye with AI, and it'll lock onto that. And it's the same thing. If you put something in front of it, it'll automatically dial in. But it's weird because I don't really move, and you saw in that shot I'm quite far away. But when I do Star Citizen, I don't think I'm going to be face front like this. That's that side shot that I used in my video, my setup for car. I'll probably do the same thing just because of the way the monitors are set up. Like if you go into, you've seen my setup in the room here before. Yeah. I've got a bar across the TV. It's all very, very bastardized together, but it works really well. And I don't think I need to be the streamer that has the camera forward. I don't think if I have camera forward or side that it'll change my success, right? It may,
you don't even need a camera. Like it doesn't like there. Streaming it helps kind of. Some people it helps, some people it doesn't. I think some of the best streamers on the internet don't use a camera. I think
Smashly comes to mind.
Yeah, Smashly. Smoke for DayZ is one of the best streamers on the planet, and the fact that he isn't like a 100,000 viewer person is crazy. There's Moon. Like there's so many people, right? It just comes down to your interactions with chat, your personality, what people find interesting. There's a million factors that aren't your gear. None of them are your gear. You look at my microphone. By the way, my audio is probably crackly too today, so that's problematic.
I can't hear it.
Okay, that's good because I've been having issues and I'm going to resolve them, but I don't have time until my work weekend, which is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So but like those things don't matter as much as you, the person, your personality, all those things, right? So
yep,
that's what matters. And I think you'll find that really cool with with streaming. Is it's a whole different side of things from YouTube. It's just not curated at all. It's different every day.
It's free form and it can be fun. And this is the thing I really like about live streaming that. So live streaming itself is fun. Live streaming that game is problematic because you're so focused that you can't manage chat. So the first couple streams I had a friend over and they were reading chat and telling me what was being said, which is fantastic. Like, it's good, but that's not sustainable. Those people that do show up understand and they're super patient, right? They know that I'm in focus because they would rather see me be successful and not chat than crash into a wall and chat, obviously. So, but again, it's
the opposite for my channel. They'd rather see me crash into the wall.
They'd rather see you crash. But yeah, it's weird because you do like an hour and a half of practice and then qualifying, and then you crash right in the race. That completely invalidates the whole stream. So people understand and they're supportive, which is good. But the nice thing about Star Citizen is, compared to that game, Star Citizen is very streamable because there's so much waiting or admin or like preparation, stuff like that you can do both. So as much as I've set up that setup has one main screen and then a second 32:9 up top with two 27s, like I can see stream and I can see on the top. The main Star Citizen rig is a 65-inch OLED with two 27s off to the side. So I still have my secondary for my main game computer, but I also can see the stream and chat and everything off to the side, which is unconventional, but I'm unconventional. I can be okay like that. Sure. You know? Yeah. So we're going to be starting endurance racing. So again, that's what this is for. This is the same thing. It plugs right in, but you can see on the top, it's all dialed in with all of the buttons you need. And then everything is short paddles because I also use this for drift. And the last thing you want to do is get your hand stuck inside a DD1 with 47 newtons of torque, and it just pulls your thumb off. So it's legit and it's tons of fun.
Nice.
Put that down.
I've slowly, and the reason we're talking about this, I know this is a Star Citizen podcast, is I recently got into F1, and it was I don't know who from chat made me watch Drive to Survive or whatever, right? But like I'm literally obsessed with it, far beyond my Star Citizen obsession ever was. I am obsessed with Formula One, and
when you get bored when you get pissed off with Formula One, or you lose the luster, go play F2 for a little bit, just to get context of how grippy and how stuck those cars really are. Because those corners where you don't have to lift, you do have to lift on the F2 car. Right? Gotcha. There is definitely. I mean, I played
Assetto Corsa, and that was my first racing game, and they're nowhere near as grippy, and I don't like it. I like the grippy car. It's just fun. It's like, okay, let's take it back to Star Citizen. You remember the old flight model of racing?
Yeah, it was on rails.
The M50 was literally on rails. I loved that. I raced all day, every day, and now I don't race at all because of the slidiness and all that stuff. I just don't.
I know that there's still some hardcore people out there that have relearned how to race.
Yes.
Soros used to love racing. I know you were big time into racing a lot. Loved it. Every other stream was you trying to get a good time.
Yeah.
And as much as I understand that they're trying to make the game more accessible and everything and adding a little bit more drift and whatever, God,
we're doing it.
No, we're not. We're not going to go there.
Do you know what I'm going to say?
I will never find... Well, that we're going to start bitching about the flight model?
No, that you're going to bring up... Somebody said it's so funny. I'm sorry for interrupting, but I have to, because this is a total meme. They go, if Noobifier mentions the certain flight model, like it was like the 314, they're going to die. Because they just knew we were going to end up there, and somehow, with all the dots, we got there. It's so funny. So sorry. It's hilarious.
It's all good. I know I will learn the new flight model.
Yeah.
And I will love the game and all that other stuff. But I think it's my own fault. I committed I committed to a flight model and got really used to it, and that will always be the Stadia, right? That will always be what's compared to. It's like you listen to any song that's a cover and you hear it first, you're like, that's the good one, and then you hear the real one, you're like, garbage, right? And it's so, again, but you can still learn to love both. So for me, am I playing 18 hours a day in Arena Commander trying to get good? No, I'm smarter than that now. I've already been burnt once by Chris, right?
Yeah.
I will. One thing I used to do with like Battlefield 3 came out, the beta came out, I was playing 18 hours a day in the beta so that when the game came out, I was already proficient with everything. And you know what I mean? That was one thing I wanted to do. I was using Arena Commander back then to learn the flight model, thinking stupidly that was going to be it. Because of course they're releasing Squadron 42 in 2016, so why can't it? Why wouldn't it be it? Right? Anyways, so again, it's the same thing with all the time invested in racing. You know, that's not wasted time for you, but it is kind of, right? If you had fun.
If I do it on stream, it's wasted time.
Good. So we agree with that. Anyways, the point is, it's already gone, right? Like it's all gone, and I'm not going to make any more videos and lament about something that's already definitely gone. Is it manageable? Yes, of course it's manageable. Everyone's flying, right? So it's all good. And again, when I start playing really hard again, like because I play here and there just to test stuff out for video, so I'm not a complete NIMBY.
Yeah.
I can figure out what's going on enough. But like I said, streaming, when I start to stream, you watch, it'll probably be a big, gigantic noob stream. It won't be like, here's the Noobifier showing you stuff. It's going to be the Noobifier asking chat where the any key is. So
dude,
it's going to be quite funny.
I still ask questions.
It's going to be hilarious.
The game, no matter what, dude, the game is so complicated. If you're trying to engage with multiple aspects of the game that you don't on a regular basis, so like ask me anything about mining, I know it. But if you ask me anything about PvP, I'm constantly asking questions because I don't.
What gun to choose? What's the current meta? Right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I'm not making videos about it because I don't know. Yeah. I would have to ask someone else to tell me what they currently think is good. And the joke was I was talking to Redlear and he's had a baby recently. He's like, dude, I haven't played in like 2 months. I don't know anything. And that's how fast the game changes as far as meta. Like one patch, they blew all the statistics back to neutral, and now they're starting to mess with it again. It's just very funny. I think it's part of the joy of trying to cover this game because it's so dynamic and flexible. But at the same time, it invalidates all of your, like my 3.2 mining guide, garbage, right? Yeah. It has 4 things that are correct. Everything else is misleading. Exactly. So it's I should technically take that video down, but I can't because then I'll, anyways, we know as content creators why you can't. Yeah. So what I plan to do is come out when they do the mining consumables I need to cover and the new mining gadgets. All that is now fleshed out. Am I going to make a video telling you which one to choose? No, I can't because I don't have that depth. I don't have the information. I would have to stream probably for 48 hours. I know you do. You should, because that's what people want from you. Yeah. But my video on the same subject would be a joke, which is why I might do a very, very overview kind of video. But if you make one before I do, I'll reference yours in mine because that will be more information. If you want the no bullshit, what button to push, come to me. If you want to know what every single function does, you know what I mean? Like,
what I think the meta is where I'll probably go. But I may not. I'm going on a cruise next week.
Nice.
So this patch is probably going to drop into PTU while I'm on the cruise, which is like,
right.
Damn.
I used to get anxiety anytime there's a patch. I would have like this massive level of anxiety. Like I have to be ready. I have to script all this stuff because I'm not Evo. And it would originally bother me that other content creators would be Evo and they'd be able to see it and prepare all their stuff. And then as soon as the patch goes to P2, it's like bam, 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 4 videos on all the subjects. And it used to bother me a lot because used to feel like that was like a missed opportunity that I could be that fast. But when I also realized is, they'll never give me Evo. Fuck no. They come on, that would be dumb. But those videos would come out. 2 of them out of the 4, they would patch something or change something because it didn't work.
Yep.
And then that video would be wrong a little bit. And there's no way to go back in YouTube and put like a big warning on something. You literally have to strike the video.
Yep.
So it's kind of a blessing in disguise. And Board Gamer said it best for me. This is like a long time ago. He's like, it doesn't matter if you're first when you have a community. Well, we're talking when I had 2,000. I needed to be first all the time because that was my way of getting successful. But he's like, when you have a larger community, it doesn't matter, or it shouldn't matter to you if you're first or not. You have to be correct. You have to be accurate because people will still watch. This is the nice thing about YouTube. People will watch Super Mac Brothers video on whatever, and then they will watch yours for the different perspective, right? And it's
there's no competition on
good.
YouTube.
I'm not
like
competing
with
sure.
you. I'm not competing with Morphologist. I'm not competing with Board Gamer. I'm
everyone can be
competing
great.
against myself. That's the only competition, is to be better every day. That's it. And on Twitch,
right,
you are competing with not only people in Star Citizen.
You have to be better than the other people that are on in your slot.
Yes,
right.
And like, and the entire internet that's on in your slot, not just in Star Citizen. It's crazy.
Did you notice a dip associated with the war?
100%.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, dude, my entire audience is European. They have a lot more to worry about than what.
Of course,
what
I
I
don't want
have
them
to
watching
say.
my content. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I am totally okay with people looking after themselves because it was just an interesting. Again, we don't have to get very political, but there was a couple people who posted in Discord. I support greatly, but because of where I live, I can't be here. Because like I don't know, Russian followers and stuff.
Yeah.
But no, and even CD Projekt Red came out and said that they're no longer in support of Russia, the entire country, because of whatever, and they got spam botted. Like you go look at their reviews on Steam, it's all negative again, and they think it's because backlash, which is interesting. So the community, again, not only do people have good and bad days with Star Citizen, but obviously real world kicks in. At the beginning of COVID, it was fantastic for streamers and tubers because people weren't going to work and they were sitting at home. But now you get used to that kind of heightened level of content.
Now it's back to normal.
And people are back to work and they should be focusing on war and work and the economy and how they're going to feed their babies and what bread's going to cost and what's gas going to cost, all that stuff. That totally makes sense. But you have to take it into consideration as a creator that it may not be something that you're doing. There's no need to change the recipe because the cake is still good. It's just people aren't buying the cake.
Yeah.
That's the reality,
Yeah, exactly. And it is what it is. Moist Noodle was doing a great job following everything, and I would stream for a couple hours and bring, honestly, this was my whole plan, was stream for a couple hours, bring people in just so I can push them to him.
Right.
That was it. That was the only reason I was on, was because he was doing something really what I thought was important and doing a good job of it. So just,
for sure,
hey, let's all go watch him after.
And I'm not watching CNN. I'm watching Moist Noodle. Literally, that's where I was getting my news from because it's he went wide with his sources. And it was very interesting. He would purposely say, like, this is unreputable. Like, we're going to watch this, but it's bullshit. Yeah. Like, this is so cool. Yeah. It's so entertaining, too. Obviously, nice. not to make light of the situation, by when I say it's entertaining, I think people understand what context I'm trying to say that.
Of course. I mean, if anybody should know about war, it'd be you, right? So,
yeah.
Out of anybody here, many of us are not... haven't seen combat or been anywhere near it. So yeah.
So I actually have one last prop. I brought 2 steering wheels and I brought something else. And again, this is not me to like pat on the back or whatever, but the comment that I was going to say as part of the whole retirement thing is that it's interesting because a soldier can actually summarize 30 years of their life with nothing more than medals. And I'll show you if you want. This one.
Yeah, please.
So this is 4 Bosnia, 1 Afghanistan, 2 Afghanistan, and a Kuwait. So
sick.
It's tons of fun. And everyone has different racks. Canadian racks are usually smaller than American because we don't, for example, get a medal for finishing basic training and stuff like that. Again, nothing negative. It's just you can go through your whole career and not have a single medal because you didn't go somewhere. And that's not to say that you're less of a person.
Yeah.
But this is I'm happy with mine. Obviously, I brought it, but I can see years of my life when I have that. And that's why we put the medals on the wall, not because it's an achievement to get the medal, but it's a reminder of the time you spent with your bros and broettes, right? Because misery loves company. And when you go to a shit show, a shithole country, the only thing that keeps you going are the people that you're with, right?
Yeah.
So you try to be good people for them, and they try to be good people for you.
Awesome, dude. Yeah,
tons of fun.
People in chat are saying nice rack.
It is. I'm happy with it. Again, so Remembrance Day, you guys have Veterans Day, I think, or
Correct.
Memorial Day. I forget what it's called.
Well, we have Veterans Day and Memorial Day.
Okay. You guys do it right. Americans do the service thing correct, by the way. It is, it's not something that Canada doesn't do poorly, but we've gotten better at it since, let's say, Afghanistan. The Bosnia years were... Public support was difficult with Canada because we're like, well, why are we even there? And all this other stuff. And then, of course, 9/11 happened and all of it made sense, or it made more sense. They put it into a better light.
Yeah.
And Canadians started to react more American to service. And it was really nice. It was a fantastic thing. Again, there's nothing worse than feeling unsupported. But at the same time, the whole purpose of service, the whole reason that people like me do what we do is to, this is going to sound like a Hallmark card. People are allowed to be ignorant to everything in Canada because of people that defend their freedom, right? So sure. I can't get pissed off with, let's say, truck drivers for not necessarily understanding whatever, because my job is to
try not to go there.
Right? No, we're not going to go there. But I'm just giving you an overarching idea that makes a lot of sense with service, is that people serve because they wish to make it other people enabled to be ignorant.
Yeah.
And free and able to do all the freedom stuff that they do. Sorry, sure. that went very, very political, and I'm sorry for that. But
it's okay.
Again, it's not entitlement. I served because I liked it, not because I had any hidden agenda. But it was every once in a while you meet someone and say, well, we should have been peacekeeping in Afghanistan, and I'm like, bro, I'm not even going to approach that. You should totally go do some research, right? Yeah. Or would you like me to educate you about why that's a perverted idea, right? Sure. Close with and attack the enemy is not peacekeeping by definition. Anyways,
I have no idea why we're anywhere, to be honest. So maybe one day I would love to get in a call with you and talk about that and get educated, because I am so ignorant. It's the same thing.
And everyone is fantastic because you know 9,000% more about poker than I know about poker. Yep. So again, this is the thing is, you know, when you're younger, you're going through high school, you think like you're hot shit and that you're like super good and everything like that. And that's good when you're young to have that level of confidence and arrogance. But then as you grow up, you realize that as good as you think you are, there are 1,000 other people in the same city as you that do exactly what you do better. And that's the fantastic thing.
And so, also, the older you get, the people who you thought knew everything, you realize they didn't know shit and they were just flying by the seat of their pants, most likely.
Right.
All right? Because nobody knows anything. We're just putting one foot in front of the other every day.
Making it up on the fly. But it's, again, you make it up the best you know based on what you know. Exactly. So if you know nothing, you make up everything. Shit. Anyways, sorry, now I sound like Grandpa Noobifier, right?
No, but it's just true. As you get 47. Older, you learn those things.
I'm only 47. Don't kill me yet.
Yeah. Oh, man. But I don't know. The one thing I was thinking, like, during this conversation is you started going through what a day in your life would be like.
Yeah.
But kind of we got sidetracked and stopped. What's a day in your retirement and content creation like now?
So it depends. It depends on the day. Obviously, there's like, so Monday, I'm usually in the afternoon, I'm looking at Spectrum to prepare for community concerns, because that video takes a lot of time to script. The actual construction of the video is quite low. I just read my script and then put some B-roll up and show people the segments. So that's Monday afternoon. Monday morning, if I'm working on a hardware and there's like a stack of hardware things that I want to work on. There's that Cyborg controller. That's its own video. There's a bunch of Logis stuff here. I've got VKB NXT, those mid-entry level sticks. That's a thing that I need to flesh out. And of course, I could review it, but I have to go play with it to get context, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense. So then Tuesday would be the creating that video. Tuesday night is live stream for Formula 2. And then the next day, I usually do a summary video with the VOD. That consumes the morning. Then Wednesday, again, it has a certain level of continuity, and I never feel like I'm achieving success. As much fun as it's very much like a drug. You push a video out,
Yep.
and you release endorphins, and you see the community reaction, and you like all the comments and everything like that, and then it tapers off, and you have about 2 days before your high is gone.
Yeah.
Right? You have to keep making content because it's like a cigarette. You don't feel like you've done something until you've made a video that day, because it's always in the back of your mind. And it sounds horrible, but it's actually not horrible, because just like you're going on a cruise for a week, and you're going to park the channel, right?
Kind of.
You're not going to make videos there, or you made videos in advance and they'll release.
The second channel, there'll be a video every day.
Okay, from where you are.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't have to do anything.
I like it.
I don't make any of the money on the channel, but I don't have to do anything. Right?
That's good.
I love that. That's my favorite channel. I love that channel. I love everything about that. It's my favorite thing is going through all of the stuff with the editor. And by the way, the editor is Darklaw's son, which is really cool. And it's just going back and forth with him about a thumbnail idea or a title idea or, this video, that, and just like when we're going to post certain things. It's been such a good time.
Yeah.
It's been really fun.
Well, it's also nice to have a person to bounce ideas off of, right?
Yes.
So for me, I have my friend Kyle, who helped out with the bricks, and he's like a car friend from a long time ago. He understands enough of social media and content creation that he's actually the reason that I started a second channel, because he said correctly, it would be murder if I started to stream car stuff on the Noobifier channel. He's
it would make no sense.
It'll destroy everything. It's not even that it'll wreck, it'll ruin, right? It's a very different thing. So no, again, having a person to speak about, very, very good. Anyways, so I can go back to this Tuesday's car summary, Wednesday's afternoon is blank. Thursday morning is heavy into a video, probably a review of something. And then, of course, Thursday is your ISC. So that summary, those guys, I can pump those out in 30 minutes. It's actually very, very fast now. And then racing at night, Thursday, and then Friday is a summary, and then Star Citizen Live. And then, like I said, I would love to take, let's say, Saturday off, but I always feel like there's a delta, right? Like the stupid, well, I'm going to say
I have
stupid.
0 days off as well.
The video that I did for the pedals, the Virpil Torque, that video did only 2,000 views, and I'm not sounding entitled, but that video took a week and a bit of reviewing and testing. So you can say, well, that's a waste of your time. They did send the part for review, so I didn't physically pay for that. So the way I look at those videos is that the video itself isn't about making money or value in my time. They send a $300 part. I give them $300 worth of my time to make the video. That's the payment, right? And I get to play with new stuff, and it's good for the channel and it's good for the brand. Like, it has fantastic overarching effects. But something like NXT, VKB NXT, people were begging, like, can you please review these sticks? And I'm like, I really would love to, but I can't spend $600 of my own money on a video that's only going to make $10, $20, right? It's more of a community service at that point, right? It's almost me being a philanthropist at that point. Yeah. So that's when you reach out to the company and say, would you guys be interested in a collab? And they could ghost you. And that's why the video hasn't hasn't materialized, but more recently they're more interested. So that's good. Again, and I love it, right? Like I love testing sticks and figuring out what that sounded bad. Figuring out what makes this joystick controller different, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like we all have our little like niches and stuff, which is cool. I'm looking forward to what the Star Citizen community content creators are doing and what they look like and everything like 5 years from now, man. Should be really interesting. What everybody's doing and what niches they find themselves in different from today. Like, do you know what I really look for? Like, what is Board Gamer's channel going to look like? When the game is actually out and it's not about news, what's Board going to be doing? He's still going to be here. He's still going to be rocking and rolling, you know? And I just wonder what it's going to look like. It's going to be cool.
He could just transition. So I've often thought about what my content would look, because you play, which is interesting because you play on stream already.
Yeah.
So
it's
you
kind of
probably,
like both of you have similar channels. So like, what would you be doing, you know?
My channel is more about reporting right now.
Yeah.
But I still have an org that I want to play with and all this other stuff. So what it may end up being is I don't know if I'll ever live stream our org operations, because that's a disservice to my org, because then we're going to get stream sniped and all the other negative stuff that goes along with it. Yes, we'll have a lot more people interested in what we're doing, but if I do that, the only reason I will do that is because we have a shit ton of fighters securing one mining operation, and we're ready for a fight. Like, we want to fight. Yeah. That's the only reason I might live stream, is broadcast our position so that we get a fight. But at the same time, there's nothing stopping me from saying, okay, well, today we're going to go into Pyro and we're going to go check out Pyro 6, fly around, see, like, explore. I think the content will evolve naturally, because obviously when there's nothing to talk about development, like, there will always be something to talk about, but not at the same level as when they're developing, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
It should be very, very interesting and exciting.
But it'll happen. Just like you said, I didn't know what my content was going to look like when I started, and it kind of found its way.
Exactly.
It'll happen.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. As long as you still have that passion, you're going to find a way, right? And I think everybody that we mentioned still has that passion. They want to be here. They want to do it, right? Everybody that was mentioned today. So, yeah, it's interesting. I don't know, Noob. I think maybe we could stop here, but I don't know if there's anything that's on your mind that's going. But as far as, like, the things I wanted to talk about with you, that's all I have off the top of my head. I don't know. I'm trying to think of any other things.
No, I mean, I'm super passionate about the game. It's my primary focus, is seeing it successful and telling people about it, which is the whole point of the channel.
Yeah.
I could donate hundreds of thousands of dollars to the game, or I could make videos. And I think that I could argue that potentially the channel has had more positive effect on the game and the community than if I just donated a ton of money. Both are helpful, but that's my donation, is the passion for the project and trying to keep people informed. It's super fun. And then again, if you guys are interested in checking out live streams Tuesday and Thursday over on the other channel, just like Mike has a second channel, I have a second channel to kind of compartmentalize the themes of the topics.
Yeah.
And once I get myself a little bit more shaken out and we get like 317, I'm going to be pushing, just like I said earlier, same kind of content, but not necessarily only reporting, more guides and stuff like that. And again, everyone's great. You should watch everyone's videos on everything, right? All of the community content creators have an opinion, and support everyone.
I love YouTube. I really do. I love it for that. I feel like my passion for content creation has grown the more I focus on YouTube. I still love Twitch the most. Twitch is still my number one, and it'll always be my primary focus. But I think my love for content creation has grown because of YouTube by miles in the last year. I don't think I would have ever put in the amount of work that I put in now until I started making YouTube videos.
It's a little bit more satisfying because it's not necessarily less personal, but it's certainly less. The noise, to use Jake's thing, right? in chat here, if you get a bunch of people being negative, then you can just cap at them. You know that they're just fucking with you. But if you get a couple shitty comments in a YouTube video, and then you go read all the other positive things, that's your delta. That's your
or you could be like me. And you could have like 50 positive YouTube comments, and you can have two really crappy ones, and you only focus on the two really crappy ones, and then you screenshot them. They're all on your phone, and you show them to your Discord, and you start losing your mind, and your Discord is like, "What's wrong with you? Just shut up," you know. And that's basically how I do it.
Like public shame. I don't copy paste them because I need a sanity check.
Yeah.
I do the public shaming thing. Like the reason I don't have kids is if my kid was going through like a meltdown, I would take them, pick them up and put them in the middle of a street out front and say, "Hey, everyone, come see how much of an asshole my kid is acting like." Right? Like you don't do those things in our day and age, right? You don't do that corporal punishment thing. So can you imagine? I would be in child services, I'd be in jail and all kinds of stuff. So when I get a shitty comment like that just makes absolutely no sense, I'll answer it, screen capture it, and then I'll post that in Discord as a form of entertainment.
Nobody clip that out of context and title it "Noobifier Child Abuser." Okay, thank you.
Oh, you can do it if you want. I don't care.
No, I don't. We all know it. They'll do it, but everyone will know it's fucking.
Of course,
stupid,
they'll do it
because that's all they do. They already did it before I even said it, probably.
Right.
But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But I don't know. I love it now. I really do. I go through my ebbs and flows of enjoying content creation, and I have not had a lull in 2 years, I'd say. Been consistently loving it.
You have to, again, when you get pissed off with something, just go do something else for a bit. Dude, I've been playing Cyberpunk like crazy. Like I'm not going to stream it. Obviously, that's just stupid. But it's not a game for everyone. If you don't like the Witcher type of game, and it's completely different than anything else I play. I don't know what it is about that game. I think it's probably the city itself. You know, the story that's been put into it. So much fun. And I mean, I've seen you get invested in all kinds of other games, and it's good. It's good to take a break and focus on something else. Totally.
I love Eco. Eco's amazing. I just we make our own rule set for the game and basically like modify it in a way, and people seem to really enjoy it. And this time around, it's really satisfying. There's been like significantly less drama, and it's been fantastic. Just absolutely love it. But yeah, all right, Noob. I guess I'm starting to get pretty hungry. It's lunchtime for us.
No, that's good. For sure.
And
it's like 11:30.
It's like 11:30. Except I actually have to keep streaming, so yeah, that should be interesting.
What? Oh yeah, because you're doing your promo.
Yeah, sponsored stream today, so I have the promo after this. So yeah, it's
nice. Well, I mean that's good though.
Yeah, for sure. Those are amazing. So I think I explain this on my Twitch streams a lot, but what people don't understand about YouTube channel sponsorships or Twitch stream sponsorships is, man, like you never have to ask your community for anything. When those things start rolling in, it's incredible. You know, like sub buttons, all those things. Probably don't even need them if you were consistently getting those. And that's what a lot of big channels start doing is they turn your donation button into just donations for charity, things all like that, because it's just easy. It's awesome.
Before we go, I would like to mention one thing, and this is kind of weird because it's like cross-pollination.
Yeah.
I'm also, like when it rains, it pours. Tonight's I'm on with Soul Citizens with Vertigo.
Oh,
so
crap.
We're part of that panel.
2 podcasts today.
I know. That's why it's fantastic. So I just wanted to mention that.
That's awesome.
If you have not had enough Noobifier today, you can come to Soul Citizens. I think it's like 8 tonight, and it's on Twitch.
What's the topic? The topic was super interesting.
So they actually they did like we used to do in Redacted, where there's like a structure. I have a document that I have to read and prepare for, like take notes.
Yeah.
So we're going to go over a bunch, like the state of the game and a bunch of other good stuff. And it's neat. I'm actually really interested because they're more, I'm not going to say, they're not as positive as the 890 jump guys, but they're a lot less salty than we are, like the Redacted was. So again, even like Paul kind of hit and miss with if he's super happy or sad. That's where his thing is going to be. But I'm actually really looking
to argue
forward.
with people on Twitter. That's what I think Astropub does.
Right. So again, this is where the sum of our experiences, and I love the fact that I get challenged by a different part of the community, and I've been invited to come talk. So this is again, it's super exciting. So fantastic. Nice. Anyways, thanks for that. Sorry for the extra delay.
No problem. I think the topic that they posted it on Twitter that really stuck out to me, because I was like, oh, it kind of feels like they might talk about me here, and it's not being like egotistical or anything, but it's like, oh, I wonder what they're going to say about the specific topic, is how salty or negative content creators what their effect is. Oh yeah, on the game.
It was the difference between critical and critique or something like that.
Yeah,
like the difference in, and they even gave me the definition of both words so that I can So
interesting.
It's good. But yeah, we'll probably mention you a little bit. I mean, your name is SaltEMike after all. You pretty much have.
I don't care whether or not I get mentioned. I actually care about the conversation and what comes out of it, and it should
be fun.
Might shape the way I think. I love just hearing what other people think, because it shapes the way I think. And
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, don't just stay in your own lane. Hear what everybody has to say. So, yeah.
Oh no, I'm not. Trust me, I'm not there to fight, but I'm definitely also not there to. If something smells like shit, I'm going to tell people that I think it's shit. People are allowed to think whatever they want, and they're perfectly entitled to their own opinion, and they can own it and whatever. That's fine. But no, it'll be very enlightening, I think, is the best thing, because it'll have polar opposites, right? So that's really good.
Absolutely. That's how I feel about my entire life, is the if it smells like shit, you're going to be like, yo, who farted? You know, and that's it.
Right.
Like that's just how I've always been. So yeah, I agree. But all right, Noob, thank you so much for coming on again. You want to plug what's your monthly giveaway and everything and all that?
No, it's good. If you just again, anyone who's interested in watching me live, I'm going to be going live on Star Citizen for sure. But right now I'm still Tuesdays and Thursdays over on Competition. It's pretty easy to find, and just. Thanks for your support. That's literally all I want to say.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Noob. I always love talking to you. I appreciate it, man. Bye now.
Bye. Take care, man.
Be good. All right, guys. That was Noob. That's fun. I love doing those. I love talking to other creators about anything and picking their brain, and specifically about content creation. I know it was a Star Citizen podcast, and maybe that wasn't what you came here for today, and I think that actually contradicts exactly what we talked about like how we make content. But I've said this a lot lately. I make content for me, and I love doing this. So it in turn, sometimes you guys enjoy it, but I enjoy making content, and I enjoy talking to people about the way they think about the world, and that was fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. I'll put the Raid Shadow Legends link if you guys want to support me in any way with that. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye, everybody.